Okay, so this is Spain. We could talk about Spain. Abd al-Rahman I was the only Umayyad that was able to escape the Abbasid massacre of his clan in Syria. So the Umayyad was the first family that took over after Muhammad's death, and they were chased out by the Abbasids. And Abd al-Rahman I was the only one that survived, and he fled to Spain in 750, and this is where the Arabs had already overthrown the Christian Visigoths, and the present Arab military powers that were there in Spain at the time accepted the fugitive as their overlord, and he founded the Spanish Umayyad dynasty, which lasted nearly 3 centuries, and Cordoba was the capital of Spain and was the capital of Islamic rule at the time, and it became the center of a brilliant culture that really rivaled the Abbasids in Baghdad, and it served to inspire and influence a lot of areas of the Christian West, or Western Europe. The most important Islamic building project during this time was the Great Mosque at Corbados, and the Great Mosque at Corbados was built on the site of a Visigothic church, and it kind of signified to triumph it signified the triumph of Islam in Spain, much like the Dome of the Rock did in Jerusalem. And so the mosque at Cordoba was started in 784, much like I said, by the Caliph Abd al-Rahman I, and it was added to several times during the next 2 centuries. And it was often referred to as Mezquita, which is Spanish for mosque, and it eventually became one of the largest mosques in the Islamic West because it just kept on getting added to over the years. This is the prayer hall of the Masquita, or the Great Mosque in Corbados, Spain, 8th to 10th century. It's a hypostyle prayer hall. It has 36 piers and 514 columns. And each one of those columns, or sets of columns, is topped by a unique system of double-tiered arches that carry a timber roof that was eventually replaced by vaults. And the reason there are 2 stories is that the builders had to reuse short columns from previous Roman and Visigothic structures, and they needed to reach that towering ceiling above, so they just stacked rows of arches on top of the shorter columns that they repurposed here. So that's the reason why we have the double rows of arches, basically. The lower arches are more horseshoe-shaped, which is a form adopted from early Mesopotamian architecture, or it may also be Visigothic in origin. In the West, the Horseshoe Arch is really closely associated with Muslim architecture. So that horseshoe-shaped arch is kind of signifying of Muslim architecture in a lot of structures. And they kind of billow out like windblown sails, and they contribute to the light and area effect inside of the mosque at the prayer hall at the Mezquita in Cordoba, Spain. So we're going to take a look at the detail of the facade of the east gate of the Mezquita, or the Great Mosque in Cordoba, Spain, 960 to 965. So a little later in date, Al-Hakim II became Caliph of Spain, and he renovated the mosque at Cordoba by expanding the prayer hall. He added a series of domes. He also added gate entrances to the eastern and western side of the complex, and this is the east gate. And there's a lot of colorful masonry if you take a look at this. A lot of colorful, different colors of bricks added together, a lot of pattern, and also that familiar horseshoe-shaped arch. And then it's paired actually with these delicate colonnettes, or columns, but they're just smaller, so we call them colonnettes. And here's, arches kind of stacked almost on top of each other, some scalloped-shaped arches almost here, and more colonnettes. And just a lot of intricate pattern work. Very reminiscent of all Islamic art. You're just going to see a lot of pattern because, like I said, they can't represent human forms. They can't really show animals. I think they can show foliage or leaves or maybe landscapey type things, but they can't any kind of living creature. I'm not sure. I don't think that they can actually show fauna or human figures, obviously. Okay, so we'll move on to the Masquita of the Mezquita, the Great Mosque in Cordoba, Spain. So this is the same building. It's from 961 through 965. And it was built by the Caliphate of Al-Hakim II, and he's also the builder of the gates we just looked at. And this is actually a Masquita, which is a place that's reserved for the ruler, and it connected to his palace through a corridor in the Qibla wall, which the Qibla wall is where it faces Mecca. It's one of the main walls in the building. That's the most important area, basically, where all of the worshippers face to kind of listen to the sermon, basically. And the Masquita is a great example of Islamic experimentation of highly decorative elements. So the multi-lobed arches that we see here, so I believe that these are the lobes that we're talking about, multi-lobed arches. The forms are very abstract, they're elaborate, and the walls are covered with patterned mosaics. Those columns might have been reused, and that's why they've kind of stacked up these arches. There's some engaged columns as well that we can see on top of the black column featured here, the black columns. And the walls are covered with patterned mosaics, and it creates a really rich experience. Al-Hakim II brought the mosaicists from Constantinople, and they brought tesserae with them to Corbados. And they were really attempting to recreate the great mosques at Damascus and Jerusalem here in Spain. So that's why they brought those from Constantinople, because they were really trying to, Spanish caliphs were really trying to rival the beauty of the other mosques that are, in Damascus and in Jerusalem. So here's the dome right in front of the Mirab of the Mezquita, or Great Mosque in Cordoba, Spain, 961 to 965. And it covers the area in front of the Mirab and is one of the 4 domes built during the 10th century to emphasize the way leading to the Mirab. And the dome rests on an octagonal base, and crisscrossing ribs form an intricate pattern centered on 2 squares set at 45-degree angles. So we can see these ribs crisscrossing each other, and there's actually a square here and a square here. So they're kind of over each other. And the mosaics are the work of the same Byzantine artist responsible for the Masquita's decoration. So definitely bringing in artisans from other parts of the Islamic territories to decorate the place of Corbados, Spain, the mosque in Corbados, Spain. So Isfan, the hypostyle hall type mosque, is a very popular during the early Islamic period, but eventually as time moves on, we start to see Muslim builders using different mosque plans, and this one kind of features a slightly different mosque plan, kind of moving away from the traditional hypostyle hall plan, which is thought to have emulated Muhammad's original house where he led the prayer. So here's an aerial view of the Friday Mosque in Isfahan, Iran, 11th to 17th century. And the Abbasids constructed the first mosque or hypostyle design during the 8th century. In the 11th century, the Seljuks, a Turkish people who had converted to Islam, basically, the ruler of the Seljec, which he was actually called a sultan, made Isfahan his capital and transformed the Abbasid hypostyle mosque in stages. So this mosque has actually been added to, it was started by the Abbasids, but the Seljuk Sultan actually added to it, and the Seljuk Friday Mosque underwent further modification over the years, but still retains its basic 11th century plan, consisting of a large courtyard. Here we go, and it's bordered by an arcade on each side, so basically kind of a series of arches. And it was originally 1 story, but the second arcade dates back to the mid-15th century, so that was added on later, the second story. And 4 vaulted iwans open up into the courtyard, one at the center of each side. So here's an iwan here. It's basically just kind of a recessed area. There's an Iwan here with an arch. These are kind of pointed arches too here. And then there's one here, but you can't really see that as well because we're behind it. So we can take a look at the same mosque in Isfan, the Friday Mosque. And this is the plan. So the southwestern Iwan, number 3, is the Qibla Iwan. And it leans into a dome-covered room right here, domed mascara. I believe this would be the Qibla wall, or Qibla wall here. And number 1 are also Iwans. But the Qibla Iwan is the largest and most prominent because it's near the prayer wall, basically facing Mecca. And remember, an Iwan is a rectangular hall or space, usually vaulted, walled on 3 sides with one end entirely open. So we can take a look at that again. So one end is typically entirely open. It's usually a vaulted space, walled on 3 sides. So you can see that's kind of what these ones are looking like. That's an Iwan. And the Iwan, you know, and starts to come into play in the mosque design as we move on. Here's the Mirab in the Friday Mosque in Isfahan, Iran, 1310, a little bit later in date. It's stucco. It's the work of the renowned calligrapher Haidar, and it was added in 1310. So that was added at a later date. This is the interior of the prayer hall of the Friday Mosque in Isfahan, Iran, 11th to 12th century. So this is the interior of the prayer hall, and it shows the hypostyle prayer hall with all the columns, where a lot of people can stand and watch the prayer, watch the sermon. And it features these simple unfluted column shafts without capitals, supporting about 200 small brick vaults and domes on pointed arches. Historians and scholars are not sure if this is the first example of a 4 Iwan style mosque, but it's certainly one of the earliest examples that has 4 Iwans around the courtyard. And this style of mosque becomes the norm from this point onward. So this is one of the first ones, and from here onward, the 4 Iwan mosque becomes very popular. And the Qibla Iwan is always the largest. Its size and the dome that often accompanies it immediately indicates to worshipers where the proper direction for prayer is. So that's kind of why they probably built those into the structure and made the Qibla Iwan the largest. In the next video, we will move on to the luxury arts. Maybe I'll try to talk about the luxury arts a little bit here. So let's see, So we'll talk about, you know, the luxury arts in the Islamic traditions. So the furnishings found in mosques show a fondness for decorative pattern, and Muslim artists are not only responsible for the decorations of the mosque, but also for decorative objects that could be found in the home of, say, rulers or other leading families. And they worked in a variety of materials. They worked in wood, ivory, metal, ceramic, and glass, just to name a few. Wood was somewhat scarce in the Muslim world, so furniture such as bed, chairs, tables, things like that were not really present in Muslim homes. Muslim homes actually featured a lot of cushions and carpets, and they could easily rearrange their room and change rooms around with using different carpets and cushions in their spaces. So wood is very scarce, but I will talk more about the luxury arts in the next video.